So Brian, I want to talk about a new way to buy a house and build a home, which is cryptocurrency. What is this about? I mean, I kind of know what it's about a little bit.
Sign up for the Heroes coin.
I do. Oh, jeez. Oh, gosh. Let's stay out of all that chaos of creating coins and all that. Meme coin. So there is a proposal. Well, that's not even the right framing of it. The topic really is, what do you think about cryptocurrency and being able to use cryptocurrency as part of a real estate transaction to buy and sell real estate, to buy real estate. But as a seller, would you accept cryptocurrency as a method of currency to accept the proceeds of your sale? And then what do we think about cryptocurrencies as being part of the financial system when it comes to mortgages? So I want to kind of talk about all those things. So it's being proposed, it's being talked about, it's being floated. My base case and also loudest argument will be that this all comes down to market adoption.
Yeah.
Not everybody plays in this space. Not everybody will want to play in this space. And this space without mass adoption is going to be a difficult and uphill climb to convince large swaths of the population that cryptocurrency is a better way to conduct real estate transactions than the current way. That's where I'm starting from. I'm open to new ideas. I'm open to your comments. I'm open to your questions. I'm open to your criticisms and your challenges too, because if we're having this conversation right now, this is not going away. This is something that we're going to eventually have to continue talking more about. So I'm admitting upfront, historically and in the show, it's about adoption for me, and people are going to have to want to have this method of payment over all the other options. What do you think?
So I follow along the lines of that as well. You need everybody to participate for it to actually work. But just like right now in real estate, if you look at different markets, like, we're in California, everything's very quick here. You want everything fast. You want everything done yesterday. You go to other pockets of the country, they're a lot more, slower with transactions. They don't really, have that, pedal to the metal. We got to go. So I feel it's going to happen in phases. They're going to have to roll it out somewhere, see how that happens. And if it works out, great, but it's not going to be a mass adoption from the beginning. But what I will say is that I'm excited for this to happen because it does allow for other people, and it does bring a lot more type of buyers into the market. And I think a lot of people have been waiting for this. There's a lot of people that adopted cryptocurrency very early and are sitting on, huge amounts of it that now they can actually realize into real assets. And I think that's going to be where a lot of, the main start is going to be with investors transferring their money into real assets by buying investment properties, because now you can liquidate that and put that into an actual asset and move your money around. Whereas before you just had your cryptocurrency, you can't do nothing besides hold. Now you can actually use those gains to be able to purchase other assets that then just add to your portfolio. But if we bring it down to just, the ground level, buyers and sellers, loan officers and realtors, it really comes down to how much they know, but also how much their clients know. And by default, if you're a realtor that's already, invested in cryptocurrency, is very knowledgeable in the cryptocurrency space, more often than not, the clientele that you're serving is going to be of that mindset as well. So I think it's going to go hand in hand by person, but it does need, mass adoption for it to really take off. But I will say this is the start, just like the internet, just like, when radio went to TV, things like that. We're bridging that gap where there's innovation happening in industries, and there's always no, this is bad. Uber's not going to work. Taxis forever. And then now look at how much that just revolutionized business in general. So I'm saying that this, although it's not clear right now, this is going to take over 10, 15, maybe 20 years from now, it's definitely going to be the way that real estate transacts. The reason I say that is because there's this company called Proppy that's already doing cryptocurrency real estate sales. Although they do it in a complete different way, there's already companies that you're able to, transact in cryptocurrency to be able to purchase real assets. So it's just a matter of time before mainstream, the actual real estate industry, takes it and runs with it as well.
So I have an analogy for you, and actually I'm going to put this up on the screen right now, and I'm going to show you what this is, Brian. This is a bell curve, which is called the law of diffusion of innovation. And in essence, what it is whenever something new comes into the market for us, whether it's flat screen TVs, it's MP3 players, iPhones, the latest technological thing, even AI.
Yeah.
There's what are called the innovators, then the early adopters, the early majority, late majority, and the laggards. And this is the bulk of the population who exist in each one of these stages. And I'm willing to bet that right now, the innovators have already been talking about cryptocurrency for years. I think we're probably in the early adopters phase of this.
Yes.
First of all, it's clearly not the early majority, and it's clearly not the late majority. It's not the bulk. I mean, you look at the graph, and 68% of the population is the early majority and late majority, right? So I think we're in this part where we're looking at the innovators and then the early adopters. We're kind of flipping into that. And again, the speed at which that happens has yet to be seen. I think there's a lot of volatility in those markets. I know there's a lot of volatility in those markets. I look at them, I watch them, I chart them out because I'm a dork and I'm fascinated by it. But I am not quick to try to transact purchases in my life with cryptocurrency versus my debit card or company credit card, that kind of thing. So I'm still using dollar-backed assets, if you will. Now, I think that there will be a case in a point in time where broader mass adoption of blockchain technology at large is going to then be the front door getting kicked down for cryptocurrency to be a method along the way. So I think as title companies, escrow companies, county recorders, other connected pieces of the real estate transaction get onto the blockchain, I think that's naturally going to create more of this curve on this bell curve graph of the early adopters. That's going to be a lot quicker. Then the early majority will be even faster. And then the late majority will be super quick. And the laggards, there's always going to be laggards that are never going to end up getting the newest phone. They're still going to have a landline. They're still going to have cable. They're not doing streaming. They're not doing fiber. They're just not going to. I don't want to. I don't want it. I don't even want Wi-Fi at my house, right? No house alarm. I don't want it. So
I can't get hacked.
I think blockchain and adoption of blockchain is going to be the entryway for the cryptocurrency part to actually lock in and take effect.
So I like that you brought that up. So I want to say about 2 or 3 years ago, I did I was speaking at a small meetup, and the people that were doing the meetup are very into crypto. They're all about, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that stuff. And they were trying to bridge the gap and share the ideas of how real estate and crypto could come together. At that conference or at that meetup, I spoke and I told them, like, hey, for me, the way that I look at it, it all happens with mass adoption. But where we really need it, or where I could see accelerating the process of that adoption, is in escrow and title, and things that could be done very quickly rather than person to person, email to email, day to day, when things could just happen instantly. That's where I feel there's a lot of open ground to innovate the real estate industry because of the quickness, the efficiency, and the accuracy that you're able to do certain things, where in the way that we do it right now, it's all human, it's all human interaction. It's all human guided. So there is a large room for error. There is time, there is delays because of, certain things that are happening out of people's control. And when people start realizing that you can close faster, that you can close sooner, that you can close quicker, and that it might be a lot more cost effective, a lot of people are going to start gravitating towards that new way of doing things.
But you made a good point without knowing. Maybe is it more cost effective? Yeah, it's going to have to be more cost effective.
Yeah, that's the only way that I feel would tip the way.
Yeah, and again, this is getting a little bit on the very technical side, but there are certain things where it's more cost effective just because it is. And again, but you're going to run into the behavior part. If I don't want to receive cryptocurrency as the payment from a thing, then I'm not going to. You can want to pay me that way all day long, but if I don't understand it, I don't have a cold wallet, I don't have an actual wallet, like that creates problems for me on the receiving side, right? If I'm a person who doesn't want to, then I just don't want to. I think there's maybe some issues with that, some run-in. But yeah, ultimately what ends up happening in every evolution of technology is that technology that's introduced becomes cheaper. So flat screen TVs came out and they were 20 grand, and then they were 10, then they were 5, then they were 3, then they were 2. Now they're at Walmart next to the dog food for $250, right? Same thing. Cell phones were more expensive. Well, but God, never mind. That's actually probably a bad example because they keep getting more expensive now. They're cheaper to make now than they were before. The margins are crazier. But in that same spirit of that, I think that it would have to become such a time saver and a money saver for it really to work. And I'm going to say one last thing is it might have to be forced on some people because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's names got brought up and connected to this topic today. And if they say that this is how it's going to have to be, well, then now the industry and all the participants are not left with another choice.
Yeah.
That means something if you're in the crypto space. If Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac impose this as an option, or they can introduce it as an option. If they impose it as the preferred method and there's benefit or different upside for you personally to transact in this method, the crypto markets are going to go crazy.
So one of the things that came to mind as you were saying that is, so let's say you, and this is just me, like I'm actually kind of asking a question too. Think with me here. So if you agree to get your house purchased in Bitcoin or some sort of cryptocurrency, right? Boom, they send you the Bitcoin. It is what it is. You got it. Great, transaction closed. But let's say you want to convert that money into cash. Are you paying taxes on the money that you're moving over into cash?
Well, no, I think the taxation would be on the sale because if you're filing taxes in the year that you sold the property, you'd still have to be reporting what did you sell the house for. Capital gains isn't based on method of pay. It's price versus your starting basis. So it's basis of acquisition versus sale price that determines capital gains, not whether I paid you in pennies or I paid you in a cashier's check or a wire.
I guess what I was trying to ask, and getting a little bit more technical, how there's those gas fees and those fees for whenever you transfer money.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I didn't really.
Yes, you're talking about the gas and the fee to convert it from Bitcoin into cash that you can then put into a bank account.
Because buying a house isn't just $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 that you could pay. Okay, like $40, $50. Oh, right. Yeah, you're paying thousands of dollars if you're getting your house purchased for. What, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million?
Yeah, they're going to have to come up with a solution for that. Well, I shouldn't say they have to. They may or may not. But again, if you want the market to adopt it, you're going to have to make it digestible for people. And this is one of the things that they're going to have to figure out.
That's kind of what I'm just kind of talking a lot like, hey, somebody's going to have this problem or this is going to be something that comes up in the future. And I feel that, it sounds great in theory, but then there's those little nuances in between, our industry laws and all that stuff that still will play a part of how things can actually just integrate and just, go.
Yeah, I think some of this is still a little bit far off on the horizon. I'm inclined to think that at the rate at which AI is being used and is changing, I think that could accelerate this, but I don't think it's going to accelerate the human psychological behavioral component. It can it can answer the mechanical speed of things. Yeah. But the person speed is still going to be at the person.
I guess it's just like when we went from cash to credit cards.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It's like mass adoption. Hey, no, I like cash, no plastic.
Yeah, and it's all gamified, and points and cash back and all that, which, by the way, the retailers pay for. I don't know if you know that or not, but anyways, well, let's not go down that rabbit hole, Brian.
Did you know when that they ask you at the end when you pay out a store, like, hey, would you like to round up your money to support this cost? They're actually using your money to pay down their taxes.
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, because it's not a sale; it's a donation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a sale. It's not on their gross receipts. Actually, it's a donation.
I thought we were sharing just fun facts.
Sharing nerd stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's more to come on the cryptocurrency thing. I know sometimes on the show we say like this isn't the end of it because it isn't. Like we're every week learning new things. Last week we talked about
be a whole thing.
The ADU clamp down in San Diego. That's definitely not the last time we're going to talk about that topic. That's got to come full circle because some of these things I just learned this week that there's timeframes that are already in place connected to that city council meeting. That like the mayor already signed off on something this week that now has a 30-day time frame, and now I got to go back and do all the research and figure out what that is so we can talk about it next week because now we have to tackle that one. So anyways, Brian, I wanted to just I wanted to thank you for doing all this with me today. I know it's a little bit of a different change because we don't want to talk about articles all the time, but I really wanted to get into some of these topics and really figure out more of how we can help people start thinking about what they're thinking about, and then also just to be aware of some things that are coming up on the horizon mechanically, like the cryptocurrency thing that might be changing the way real estate looks in the future.
Yeah, I know. For me, I appreciate these topics because it allows us to really dive deep into the solutions, really unpack the problem, unpack the situation. I like talking about articles, but articles is just information that's already shared. It's a perspective. But when we talk about topics, we could really give examples, break situations down, and really put ourselves in the position that, our clients or past clients have been in, and share those insights that's helped them move forward, get through an obstacle. And I think these are very practical in a sense that they could run with it, listen to it today and be like, oh, cool, I can apply that to my, shopping tomorrow.
Yeah.